What's up, everybody? Thank you for stopping by the channel. I'm Nigel, and today we're going to talk about the newly released Quest 3 virtual reality headset that now includes the ability to experience mixed reality as well. Now, there's multiple upgrades across the board when comparing this headset to its predecessor, the Quest 2. We're going to go over all those details together and figure out, number one, is it worth the upgrade? And number two, if it is so much better than the previous one, is it worth that new $500 price point they've attached to it? Let's get right into it and get these questions answered. Now, to start things off, the first thing that you're going to notice is a pretty substantial increase in the entry-level price of this headset. What you will get for your $500 is a 128 gigabyte internal storage. You also have the option for a 512 gigabyte internal storage that will set you back $650. Now, that might be the way to go for some of you guys out there that like to keep a huge library installed at all times. But for me, I'm willing to save the $150 because honestly, these games tend to be pretty small and they don't take a whole lot of time to get reinstalled if you do, delete it for whatever reason and want to go back to it later. So that's my approach, and I think that's a great way of saving $150. But if you can afford it, absolutely, you go get that 512, buddy. Now, one of the most obvious changes cosmetically you're going to notice right away are the inclusion of these additional cameras and sensors in the front. You have a depth sensor as well as dual 4 megapixel RGB cameras that allow for that pass-through experience, which is what the mixed reality games are going to be built on. This new headset has also seen a nice substantial upgrade in the resolution department, now with these new displays coming in at 2064 by 2208, which I think they quoted at being somewhere between a 20 to 30% increase in resolution. We also have a similar situation with the previous generation, and that comes in the form of a 90 hertz / 120 hertz refresh rate. Experimental is how they have it listed. Now, the core of this machine is powered by Qualcomm's new Snapdragon XR2 processor, which promises to have twice the graphical capability of the original XR that was in the Quest 2 headset. Another one of the major improvements for me is the inclusion of this IPD wheel on the bottom. Now, I just never really found that sweet spot with the Quest 2, being that it had 3 distinct positions and it just wasn't ideal. Having this fine adjustment with the IPD wheel has completely changed the experience, not to mention the sweet spot on these new pancake lenses is much wider than what you had for the Quest 2. Now, let's talk a little bit about the new controllers. Now, as far as the feeling of the analog sticks, they feel the same. The buttons feel identical. Now, with that being said, on this new Quest 3 version, with the absence of the ring, I can easily get my hand to any part of the surface without any kind of obstruction. And I think that's a great design change, good across the board. I've had no issues with the tracking, the side buttons, the trigger buttons, they all feel identical. The haptics feel the same. Now we have it minus the big bulky ring. And if you've got long fingers, hey, I think you're gonna like this one a lot more. So I've made a discovery and I wanna share it with you. I'm not crazy, right? This looks like a jockstrap. It's literally a jockstrap. That is what they chose as the design for the stock head strap on this thing. You heard it here first, folks. Really quick, guys, I would like to ask you a little favor. If you're enjoying this video so far or you're finding some useful information in it, do me a favor, thumbs up. That will really help my channel and my videos get out to a wider audience. And if you want to come back for some more content, consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification. All right, back to the video. Next up, let's do a quick comfort check. I have both of the upgraded head straps installed on the Quest 2 and 3. Let's compare them back to back and see if there's really any noticeable difference in comfort from one to the next. Okay, so here is the old familiar Quest 2 headset. This thing has been on my head for hours and hours and hours, as well as the kids, my wife. We've all played with this thing, so it's pretty well broken in. I think that it's comfortable. I need to take breaks periodically. I'm not one of these marathon VR players like some of you guys out there. This feels great. Let's compare it to the Quest 3, see if there's a noticeable difference. Right when you put it on is you are greeted with the pass-through cameras. I am in my space. I'm not sitting here staring at the Quest 2's menu. I'm looking at my room. I can see my keyboard, my microphone. Here's my mouse. Hey, here's my beer. This is awesome. But talking strictly comfort, Quest 2 versus Quest 3, this facial interface immediately feels better. This material that they chose to use, it feels more breathable. It's noticeable that the weight is closer to your face, getting rid of some of that front heavy feeling that you had with the Quest 2. Definitely an upgrade. The pass-through cameras are awesome. Score another point for the Quest 3. Okay, now that we've got all that information out of the way, I'd like to jump straight into a mixed reality experience. Now, Meta have included a game called First Encounters that allows you to superimpose a virtual world over your world. I have these little alien guys coming from all over the place. They're coming from one side of my house, from the other, and something that I didn't spend much time on was the audio. Still doesn't have enough of a full range sound. It still sounds to me like headphones if you pulled them away from your skull, which is essentially what they are. But here's where I will give them credit. They are able to place an object in 3D space with that sound extremely accurately. The reason I say that is I can hear one of these little fuzzy aliens all the way over in my office, which is not terribly far away, but the fact that it is able to create the sensation that it is all the way over there is pretty awesome. And the bottom line, I think, you guys, is I'm a fan of this mixed reality. I love the fact that it's turned my house that I see every day. It's always the same, nothing changes. A little bit of clutter, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just like any other home, but to transform it instantly into a different world. It's a really cool experience, and I think that there are gonna be some crazy things on the horizon. Once you get the real creatives involved, they're gonna come up with some experiences that I think that you and I would have never thought possible. Okay, now let's switch gears really quick. I wanna jump into a traditional VR experience, albeit I'm picking one that has been updated to take full advantage of this new hardware. Red Matter 2 is that game. Now let's fire it up and see just how capable this hardware truly is. I cannot believe the texture quality, the level of detail, the resolution that it's capable of, the improvements that have been made from that second generation to this third are extremely apparent, and you will notice them immediately. Self-contained, standalone VR, no other muscle behind it. That's just spectacular. I mean, I don't know what other word to use. They're all corny words, okay? Spectacular, fantastic, fill in the blank. You get what I'm saying. This thing is amazing. Okay, now, of course, we have to jump into Beat Saber, and let's just see how it feels with this new headset. I'm not noticing much of a difference at this point, you guys. Maybe a little bit sharper resolution. I don't think it's taking full advantage of this hardware quite yet. But Beat Saber is always fun, so I'm not too worried about it. And it's about that time. My final thoughts. We prefaced this entire video on a two-part question. First part being, if you have a Quest 2, should you upgrade to the Quest 3? Are there enough of an improvement of these experiences to warrant spending $500? If you have the current generation Quest 2, you still have a very capable and fun virtual reality headset. On the other hand, this is certainly a more premium experience, and it's a more versatile one at that, because you have mixed reality, virtual reality. You have a higher resolution panel, which makes something as simple as watching Netflix much more enjoyable. I, for one, think that Meta have done a absolutely bang-up job on this third generation. I think that the experiences that are going to start pouring out, and now that the developers have their hands on this thing, and I'm just really excited for the prospect of what's possible with mixed reality. All right, everybody, that wraps things up. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. I love making these videos for you guys, so do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. Thank you so much to each and every one of you, wherever you are. Have a wonderful night.